quick ramble time. Hey everybody, Agent of Doubt here. I promised yesterday that I would, as well as watching Trump's farewell speech to criticize it, that I would watch Joe Biden's inauguration. You know, it wasn't that hard of a promise to keep. I was going to do it anyway. Damn, I am getting close to having to go down to the barber again. Anyways, let's see. I saw like a 6-hour version of the inauguration that I did not watch. Instead, I went to the Washington Post YouTube channel had like a condensed hour and a half version, so I went to that one because I just don't have the time for a 6-hour thing. I just wanted to see the highlights, and so what I saw was it started out with Amy Klobuchar. Who was a candidate for the nomination from the Democratic Party. She got to get up and introduce everything. She started with talking a lot about identity politics, which I am now pretty certain is going to be a big topic amongst SJWs and shitlords here on YouTube. She once again mentioned that Kamala Harris is the first woman vice president. Joe Biden later said that she was the first woman to hold national office. Well, there's only two slots to be elected to. You know, so the fact that she was like the first to be voted to national office, you know. There's only 2 national offices that we vote on. So, but yeah, she's the first Southeast Asian vice president. She's the first black vice president. So she's basically the unicorn mixture of a lot of different things, all into one candidate. As far as racial identity politics go, and gender. So there's that. That was brought up more than a few times. And I'm okay with recognizing how important that is, but I feel like it's like foreshadowing this conversation that we're going to have for like the next 4 years of like, do we pick people for representation, or do we pick them on their merits, right? And hopefully those two mesh well together, and you just pick a good person for the job. But yeah, we're going to have this conversation a lot because at least one side is not going to let the other side forget. Then Klobuchar let Blunt come up and talk, and the Honorable Mr. Blunt, he actually was credited for having put together the whole thing, but apparently he wanted Amy Klobuchar to speak a lot more than him. But he gave a speech, and he brought up the Capitol riot in his speech, which, you know, there's 2 ways to go about this. You could not talk about it and not even dignify what they did, or you could, you know, make sure that you make your political opponents pay by pointing out that was a very, very naughty thing, you know. And it was such a big thing that, you know, I get why he went with bringing it up. And I feel like just like Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, parts of the speeches from this inauguration are going to be quoted later, like 100 years later. Like, what happened was bad, and I'm not sure that everybody understands how bad shit was on January 6th. That was bad. Then they brought out Lady Gaga for the national anthem, and she seemed starstruck by the presence of everyone there. Like, especially when she finished singing. It looked like she was starstruck with the Obamas, which was strange. Like, I know that she's got a story of coming up from nothing, and to get to that point, it's probably a really big moment for her. She kind of looked like the Hunger Games. Misty said that, and then I heard that same thing from a couple comedians last night. I also heard from one of them that she came out wearing her own Etsy store. um, it's funny. It's funny. But yeah, giant red dress that she came out with. Lots of poof to it. Let's see. Then Klobuchar, she introduced Sonia Sotomayor, who's Latina on the Supreme Court, and then Sotomayor swore in Kamala Harris first, and in order of people that they were swearing in, and then they brought out Jennifer Lopez, who sang. She was supposed to sing "America the Beautiful," but then it started out with "This Land Is Your Land." And then it went into America the Beautiful, and then she translated some things into Spanish, which are basically words from the songs in English, and then she was like, "Let's get loud!" And I was like, what? I don't remember that being a part of America the Beautiful either, but it was good, Yay. But so far we've got Kamala Harris representing a lot of different identity politics. Lady Gaga being like Mother Monster to everyone LGBT. And Jennifer Lopez, just for good measure, let's not forget Latinos. We've got like the whole mix going. Like everyone's represented, right? Oh yeah, and Sonia Sotomayor is Latina. So we've got everything, representation-wise, so far. But then Amy Klobuchar, she introduced Chief Justice John Roberts, who then he swore in Joe Biden as president with the oath. Joe Biden had this giant, old-looking Bible. I'm talking like, it looked like it had 2 chastity belts on it, and it was thick. It had like metal hinges. It was freaking old and grimy, dirt brown, old Bible. Looked like it might have been an original signed copy, but anyways, Klobuchar then comes back out and is the first to introduce Biden as president, which is weird because he was just sworn in and was saying words in front of the crowd. But like the introduction thing, it was important, right? And so she was the first to introduce him, and then Biden goes into his speech, right? And so first thing I noticed about Biden's speech was that he named all the big players that were there. Vice President Pence, he named both Senate Majority Leaders, because there was like 2 that day, because like there was a change of power. So he's like Majority Leader McConnell and Majority Leader, who's that other guy? Fuck, tip of my tongue, but who cares? Biden was like naming everyone who was there, and the one person who wasn't there was Trump. Right? So it's like really, really noticeable that he's not mentioning the president, because he named, Nancy Pelosi. Chuck Schumer was the other majority leader. Sorry. Brain fart. He hasn't been majority leader for but a day now, so forgive me. But he named like everyone who was there who had a senior position, and then like, he didn't name Trump because Trump wasn't there. So it was so noticeable. So noticeable. So the big points that Biden brought up in the beginning of his speech, he was like, racial justice, and then for like 1 second, he was like, and climate issues. And then he said, domestic terrorism and white supremacy, which was a big part of his speech. And America's role in the world came up later on in his speech, but it was given, you know, a good amount of his speech. But then he also mentioned climate issues for another like one little second at the end of his speech. But overall, it was all about unity. That was the speech was like, dude, we got to come together. This red blue versus blue stuff is not working for us. He said America has been tested, which I felt like that was a reference to the Trump administration. Like, that was horrible. Glad that's over. Whew. You know, we went through that. Now let's all come together and, you know, get some stuff done. So I felt like that was definitely a reference to him. And also, he said facts matter. You know, just facts themselves have come under fire. And it is true. You know, there's one big problem with us getting facts from different sources and not having the same source of information means that, you know, with this splintering of where we're getting our facts, some people are getting a completely different reality fed to them. And that reality is based on lies, you know? And so that resonated with me as far as, you know, being part of the skeptic community here on YouTube. I appreciated that being in his speech. Then, just like Lady Gaga was probably like setting the tone for like this whole inauguration, like, we're here, they just had to go overboard, and they brought out Garth Brooks to sing Amazing Grace. And I'm like, well, that's going to piss off a lot of people. And Misty agreed. She was like, you know, that's going to really piss off those conservatives that we got Garth Brooks now singing for the Democratic inauguration ceremony. And then afterward, after the song, Garth Brooks just had to go hug every former president, like, love you, love you, love you. You know, like, oh, like he was starstruck too. Yeah. I imagine that in the future we're going to have a Garth Brooks concert tour that will be opened by the Dixie Chicks, or sorry, the Chicks now, that as they're known, because both of them are going to not receive any country music station radio play anymore. They might have Miley Cyrus go along with them, you know, maybe even Billy Ray Cyrus with Lil Nas X, you know, make a whole country values tour, you know. But yeah, I don't know what this is going to do to Garth Brooks' career. Maybe he just feels like he's done it all, so he can, you know, be himself. You know, I don't know. Then we had a really amazing poem from the Youth National Laureate, National Poet Laureate, and her name was Amanda Gorman, and I guess she was like the first one, and she came out and she was wearing a little bird cage on a ring, which was a nod to Maya Angelou, who was the poet laureate, not youth poet, but the regular poet laureate, and had done an inauguration speech before. And Maya Angelou has a book called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And apparently that ring was given to Amanda Gorman by Oprah, who was like, trust me, I know this kid's going to do good, right? So this Amanda Gorman chick, she puts out this speech, and part of it slapped kind of like an Eminem freestyle. Like, seriously, I was like, wait a second, that part rhymes. This is poetry on, like, a different level. This is... I think everyone was getting into it, and it was good. So good that last I checked on her Twitter, she was, at the beginning of the day, she was 155,000 followers just for being, like, known before this day. And right now, she's at 1.2 million followers, which means that she, in one day, so far, from just that exposure, gained 1 million followers on Twitter. And, yeah, her book of poems that isn't out until, like, September of 2021, just by pre-order sales, has now shot to the top of the lists on Amazon. So this girl's set. You know, she had a really good performance, and I guess in September you can order her poetry collection and get it. You know, but like that'll be 9 months from now. you can actually get the book in your hands. But yeah, she got tweeted out by a whole bunch of other people. Apparently now Malala has tweeted about her, and Oprah, and Van Jones, Hillary Clinton, Obama. Yeah, like a whole bunch of people. Lin-Manuel Miranda has tweeted about her. He said, "You were perfect, perfectly written, perfectly delivered, every bit of it. Brava." And so, yeah, A Star is Born. I would say that was a really, really good moment within the inauguration. You could just watch that part alone and get something out of it. It was a moment to see. So I'm happy that I watched the whole hour of it just for being able to see that. And I'll say that expecting America the Beautiful and then getting This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land to begin with from Jennifer Lopez, there was this moment where I was like, does she know what song that she's singing? You know? And it turned into a medley, but like at that moment where I thought that she was singing the wrong song, it was worth it. It was worth it. Anyways, I had a talk with CRB Vegas, chat on Facebook, where he thought that Biden was going overboard with the talks about white nationalism and domestic terrorism in his speech, and also I've seen Twitter stuff about Rand Paul saying, "Oh well, this was thinly veiled, but he's basically painting all conservatives as white supremacists and all that." I did not hear that, right? But Rand Paul, that's what he hears. Sometimes, if the jackboot fits. Anyways, I see it as a problem, and I think that along with the other issues that I know that he'll be working on, racism is something that a lot of people want to see a reckoning for. A lot of people are interested in more work on that issue. That's why we had the Black Lives Matter protests all over 2020, especially the summer of 2020, And it's addressing an issue that a lot of people care about. And there's a lot of consensus on it. And one of Biden's first things that he did in office, right after the inauguration, but before I had watched the inauguration, he had already done this. One of his initial executive orders was reversing the Muslim travel ban, which was racist. Fucking racist. And that's why people protested it 4 fucking years ago. So I'm happy that happened, And if there's anything else that we want to do as far as progressive movement on racism in our country, the next 2 years seems like a really good window to get that shit done before there's any blowback, and maybe we lose some seats in the House or the Senate. So I look forward to more to come. And last thing I'll say is, I'm glad that Joe Exotic did not get a pardon from Donald Trump, because that would have been, you know, the cherry on top of the turd sandwich. Anyways, talk to you guys later.